When my sister Janelle and I were little, we shared everything: toys, bunk beds, even birthdays, since we were only 11 months apart. But somewhere between childhood and adulthood, sharing turned into stealing. And by the time I realized it, she wasn't just taking my clothes, she was taking my life. It started small. Compliments I'd get at work somehow found their way to her mouth at dinner. My husband Ryan would mention an idea I'd pitched at the office, and suddenly Janelle would say, "Oh, I told her to go with that. I basically came up with it." At first, I let it go, thinking maybe she just needed some credit, some spotlight. I was always the one who got the promotions. I was the one who married first, bought a house, had stability. Janelle was the creative one, the wanderer, the one who never really held a job longer than 6 months. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. But things took a sharp turn 6 months ago. Ryan and I were going through a rough patch. Nothing serious, just the usual disconnection that comes with work, stress, and years of routine. One night, after a long day at work, I came home to find Janelle sitting a little too comfortably on our couch, legs tucked under her, Ryan laughing at something she said. When I walked in, their smiles froze. It felt off. But again, I swallowed my suspicions. "She's your sister," I told myself. "You're being paranoid." Then came the text message from my boss at 9:42 p.m. "Hi, Clara. Urgent. HR received anonymous complaints about your conduct. We need to meet tomorrow." My stomach dropped. That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying the last few weeks in my head. Had I been rude? Did I make a mistake on a project? Did I forget to log hours? The next morning, I sat across from my boss and an HR rep as they read out the allegations. Inappropriate behavior at after-hours meetings, an affair with a senior client, using my position to gain personal favors. It was like being punched in the face by a ghost. Nothing made sense. I was stunned, until they told me that the anonymous tip included screenshots of texts that were supposedly between me and the client. Screenshots with my name on them, but language I'd never use. My face burned, my chest tightened. Someone had faked this. But the damage was done. I was suspended while the investigation continued. When I got home and told Ryan, he looked too calm. "I mean, they don't just suspend people without reason, Clara," he said without meeting my eyes. "Are you serious?" I asked. "I just think maybe you've been distant and stressed. Maybe they misunderstood." I stood in the kitchen, staring at the man I'd married. The man who was now doubting my character. And then Janelle walked in from the hallway. "I told you she was acting weird," she said casually, pouring herself a glass of wine like she lived there. That's when it clicked. The fake texts, the anonymous email, the timing, the looks, the laugh on the couch. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. That night, I began digging. I opened Ryan's phone when he fell asleep. Nothing. I checked his emails. Clean. But Janelle had left her iPad charging on the hallway table. No password. What I found made my blood run cold. A voice recording. Several, actually. One was labeled, "Insurance Plan for Dumb Sister." I pressed play. Her voice crackled through the speaker. "Look, all I have to do is plant some screenshots. I'll make it look like she's sleeping with that client, you know, the one who always flirts with her. Once HR opens an investigation, she'll be suspended. Maybe fired. And Ryan, he'll believe it. He always thought I was the more loyal one. Once she's gone, I'll be the one he leans on. The one they promote." I was shaking. My hands were trembling so badly I dropped the iPad. I picked it up and played it again. She had planned all of it. She had created a narrative, and both my marriage and my career were crumbling because of it. I copied the files, all of them. I didn't tell anyone, not yet. Because if Janelle thought she could steal my life, she had no idea what I'd do to take it back. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was afraid, but because something inside me had snapped. There's a kind of betrayal that doesn't sting, it scorches. And hearing my sister plot to destroy everything I'd built, in her own words, ignited a quiet fire in me I'd never felt before. I woke up at dawn and backed up the recordings again. to a flash drive, to cloud storage, to my personal email under a hidden name. Janelle had taken her shot. Now it was my turn. I didn't confront Ryan immediately. I needed proof that he was more than a passive fool, that he was involved. So I waited. I started documenting everything, his change in tone, his sudden, late meetings, the fact that he'd changed his passcode. And Janelle, she was smug. She strutted through my home like she already owned it. One morning, I heard her in the guest bathroom humming while brushing her teeth using my toothbrush. My toothbrush. At work, things were getting worse. Whispers followed me down hallways. The HR investigation dragged on. I was officially on unpaid leave, and my inbox had been disabled. But the universe works in strange ways, and it handed me a gift. One of our junior IT guys, Will, was someone I once mentored. He messaged me on an old work chat and said, "I think you should see something." He showed me the original metadata on the so-called screenshots sent to HR. They hadn't come from my phone. They were generated from a photo editing app. And the email traced to a dummy Gmail account made only days before the complaint. I had digital evidence, but I needed something bigger, something human. So I baited the trap. I told Janelle I was going to a friend's house for the weekend to clear my head. I kissed Ryan goodbye. Then I circled back, hid my car around the block, walked back in silence through the side door. I planted my phone, recording, behind a stack of books in the study. An hour later, I had everything. Janelle's voice again, soft and syrupy. "She's gone. Now we just need to file for separation. You've already moved your stuff into my place anyway." Ryan, "Are you sure she won't fight it?" Janelle, "She has nothing. Her job is gone. Her reputation, shattered. I did you a favor, babe." Ryan laughed. "You're a genius. I'm just glad we handled this before the promotion list gets announced." Promotion list. That's what this was all about. I took the recordings and waited 3 days, long enough for Ryan to pack a bag and go stay with Janelle for space. They thought I was finished. Then I made my move. I emailed the recordings and digital metadata, anonymously, to HR, the board of directors, my boss, and our company's legal team. And just for fun, I copied Ryan and Janelle too. That night, chaos erupted. Ryan's phone blew up with calls from his supervisor. Janelle's name was scrubbed from the internal system. A formal investigation opened into fraud, harassment, and conspiracy. My job suspension was lifted within 24 hours with back pay, but I wasn't done. Because Janelle hadn't just tried to steal my job. She'd tried to steal my husband, so I made sure she got him. Every rotten, manipulative inch of him. I filed for divorce the same week. Attached to the paperwork was a hard drive labeled "For the Judge." Every voice note, every lie, every plan to destroy me. Janelle tried to spin it. Said I'd faked the recordings, that I was jealous and unwell. But then, the final nail. A voicemail surfaced from months ago, from Janelle to a friend. "If I can't be her, I'll just take what's hers. Same thing, right?" The courtroom went silent when it played. Her voice, sharp and dripping with venom, left no room for defense. My lawyer didn't have to say much after that. I walked out of court free, of a husband who never loved me, of a sister who only ever saw me as a rival. But I had one last surprise waiting. The courtroom was behind me, but my sister's trail of destruction still lingered like a foul stench in the air. I wasn't content with just clearing my name. She'd torn into my career, my marriage, and my mental peace like it was a game, and I wasn't going to let her walk away with nothing but a bruised ego. The company offered me a quiet settlement, a 6-figure deal to return and avoid scandal. I took it, but not before negotiating something extra. Her name would be permanently blacklisted from every corporate partner and affiliate in our network, quietly, without warning. She wouldn't find out until the rejection emails started piling in. But that was only the beginning. You see, Janelle had always craved status. She needed people to admire her, envy her, fear her. So, when she landed an invite to speak at a major women in tech summit, one she bragged about endlessly online, I smiled. Because I had a plan. The day before the event, I emailed the organizing board a full packet: audio, digital forensics, internal memos, and a private statement from HR. By morning, her name was wiped from the schedule. She showed up dressed like royalty and wasn't even let inside. Her meltdown went viral. A shaky phone video of her screaming at security made it to Twitter. One caption read, "This, the role model tech was celebrating? Turns out she was just a backstabbing fraud." I didn't even have to press post. The internet did it for me. But the final blow came weeks later, when she lost her biggest investor for a startup she had launched with Ryan. Yes, they'd gone public with their relationship. She wore it like a trophy. Until their funding vanished and the co-founder, her former best friend, pulled out after reading an anonymous tip about Janelle's ethics. Meanwhile, I rebuilt quietly. I switched firms, started a new project team under my own name, and this time, I didn't just work for the company, I owned part of it. As for Ryan, he tried calling once, left a pathetic voicemail about how he was misled and felt used. I deleted it without listening to the end. My healing didn't look like revenge. It looked like peace. It looked like waking up in the morning and not questioning my worth. It looked like smiling in the mirror again, knowing no one could twist my story, because I owned it now. But if you ask me what I learned most, it's that family doesn't always mean loyalty, and blood doesn't mean you have to bleed for them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, silently, but leave the door open just wide enough so they see everything they lost when they tried to bury you. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.